जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा, कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय, गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह, प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतषि श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापकाचार्य जगत गुरु सेव द होल वर्ल्ड श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Chapter 2, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text number 4. Satyam Kshitau Kim Kashipoho Prayasaihi. Satyam Kshitau Kim Kashipo Prayasaihi. Bahau Swasiddhe Hi Upabarhanaihi. Kim Bahau Swasiddhehi Upabarhanaihi Kim Satyanjalau Kim Purudhana Patraya. Satyanjalau Kim Purudhana Patraya. Digvalkaladau Sati Kim Dukulaihi. Digvalkaladau Sati Kim Dukulaihi. Satyam Kshitau Kim Kashipo Prayasaihi. Bahau Swasiddhehi Upabarhanaihi Kim Satyanjalau Kim Purudhana Patraya. Digvalkaladau Sati Kim Dukulaihi. Satyam Kshitau Kim Kashipo Prayasaihi. Bahau Swasiddhehi Upabarhanaihi Kim Satyanjalau Kim Purudhana Patraya. Digvalkaladau Sati Kim Dukulaihi. Satyam Kshitau Kim Kashipo Prayasaihi. Bahau Swasiddhehi Upabarhanaihi Kim Satyanjalau Kim Purudhana Patraya. Digvalkaladau Sati Kim Dukulaihi. Satyam Kshitau Kim Kashipo Prayasaihi. Bahau Swasiddhehi Upabarhanaihi Kim Satyanjalau Kim Purudhana Patraya. Satyam, being in possession. Kshitau, earthly flats. Kim, where is the necessity? Kashipoho, of beds and cots. Prayasaihi, endeavoring for. Bahau, the arms. Swasiddhe, being self-sufficient. He, certainly. Upabarhanaihi, bed and bedstead. Kim, what is the use? Sati, being present. Anjalau, the palms of the hands. Kim, what is the use? Purudha, varieties of. Anna, eatables. Patraya, by the utensils. Dik, open space. Palkala adau, skins of trees. Sati, being existent. Kim, what is the use of? Dukulaihi, clothes. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? When one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow? When one can use the palms of his hands, what is the necessity of varieties of utensils? When there is ample covering or the skins of trees, what is the necessity of clothing? Please repeat this translation. When there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? When one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow? When one can use the palms of his hands, what is the necessity of varieties of utensils? When there is ample covering or the skins of trees, what is the necessity of clothing? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The necessities of life for the protection and comfort of the body must not be unnecessarily increased. Human energy is spoiled in a vain search after such illusory happiness. If one is able to lie down on the floor, then why should one endeavor to get a good bedstead or soft cushion to lie on? If one can rest without any pillow and make use of the soft arms endowed by nature, there is no necessity of searching after a pillow. If we make a study of the general life of the animals, we can see that they have no intelligence for building big houses, furniture, big buildings, no intelligence for building big houses, furniture, and other household paraphernalia, and yet they maintain a healthy life by lying down on the open land. They do not know how to cook or prepare foodstuff, yet they still live healthy lives more easily than the human being. This does not mean that the human civilization should revert to animal life or that the human being should live naked in the jungles without any culture, education, and sense of morality. An intelligent human being cannot live the life of an animal. Rather, man should try to utilize his intelligence in arts and science, poetry, and philosophy. In such a way, he can further the progressive march of human civilization. But here, the idea given by Srila Shukadev Goswami is that the reserve energy of the human life, which is far superior to that of animals, should simply be utilized for self-realization. Advancement of human civilization must be towards the goal of establishing our lost relationship with God, which is not possible in any form of life other than the human. One must realize the nullity of the material phenomenon and considering it a passing phantasmagoria, and must endeavor to make a solution to the miseries of life. Self-complacence with a polished type of animal civilization geared to sense gratification is delusion, and such a civilization is not worthy of the name. In pursuit of such false activities, a human being is in the clutches of Maya or illusion. Such great sages and saints in the days of yore were not living in palatial buildings furnished with good furniture and so-called amenities of life. They used to live in huts and groves and sit on the flat ground, and yet they have left immense treasures of high knowledge with all perfection. Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami were high-ranking ministers of state, but they were able to leave behind them immense writings on transcendental knowledge, while residing only for one night underneath one tree. They did not live even 2 nights under the same tree, and what to speak of well-furnished rooms with modern amenities. And still, they were able to give us most important literatures of self-realization. So-called comforts of life are not actually helpful for progressive civilization. Rather, they are detrimental to such progressive life. In the system of Sanatana Dharma, the four divisions of social life and 4 orders of progressive realization, there are ample opportunities and sufficient directions for a happy termination of the progressive life. And the sincere followers are advised therein to accept a voluntary life of renunciation in order to achieve the desired goal of life. If one is not accustomed to abiding by the life of renunciation and self-abnegation from the beginning, one should try to get into the habit at a later stage of life as recommended by Srila Shukadev Goswami, and that will help one to achieve the desired success. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakayat चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्दा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago in West Bengal and propagated the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Harinam Sankirtana, had 6 primary disciples. They were called the Goswamis of Vrindavan. Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. He performed many of his leelas. And then Krishna wound up his pastimes and he went back to the spiritual world. In due course of time, which are the exact places where Krishna performed his different leelas, that was also forgotten. For example, Krishna lifted Govardhan hill at a particular place. He danced on Kaliya in another place. He killed Putana, Shakatasura, Trinavarta at another place. He swallowed the forest fire at another place. He killed Dhenukasura in another place. These are all different places spread out in the land of Vrajamandala. So after Krishna left, so these exact places were all lost to human society. And these were all revived by the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were the chief disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that credit goes to the 6 Goswamis. They were headed by Rupa Goswami, then Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. These 6 Goswamis, they were coming from very, very aristocratic families. Prabhupada mentions that in those days, the Goswamis, one of the Goswamis, their monthly income was 12 lakh rupees 500 years ago. They were very rich zamindars and kingly opulence. They had all the wealth at their disposal. And 2 of them, Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, were government ministers. Those days, Bharatavarsha, India, was ruled by the Mughal government. And both Rupa and Sanatan Goswami were very important high-ranking ministers in the Mughal government. And practically the Mughal king, the Nawab, he was dependent on Rupa and Sanatan Goswami for running the entire government administration, tax collection, revenue, so many other activities. So you can imagine so many other number of people would be reporting to Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. So in terms of wealth, in terms of power, in terms of knowledge, in terms of social position, in every aspect, the Goswamis were very, 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 very situated in a very high position. And just on the call of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being attracted to the Sankirtana movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Goswamis simply renounced all this kingly opulence, government power, prestige, social position, their own family, homes, everything, and they went to this holy land of Vrindavan, where they would sit, they would write books, they would chant the names of Krishna, they would excavate the different places where Krishna had performed his pastimes, all these things. So it is mentioned about the Goswamis. What was their mood? What they used to do? He Radhe Vrajadevike, He Nanda Suno Kutaha. They would simply roam around in the forests of Vrindavan, crying out the names of Radha and Krishna. Hey Radha, Hey Krishna, Hey Nanda Suno Kutaha. Where are you all? That was their mood. So somebody may say, this is some kind of madness, this kind of some sentiment. People are simply roaming around. Krishna is not even visible to our eyes. Why are they simply roaming around the forests of Vrindavan like that? So it is further mentioned that they were not mere sentimentalists. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau Sadharma Samsthapakau. They were highly learned scholars, the Goswamis. One of the Goswamis, Jiva Goswami, he has compiled a book called Harinamamrita Vyakarana. Vyakarana refers to grammar. And in general, to master Sanskrit grammar requires 12 years of rigorous study. And Jiva Goswami has given another system of Sanskrit grammar called Harinamamrita Vyakarana. How to understand the rules and regulations of Sanskrit grammar solely on Harinama, the names of Krishna. So you can imagine what kind of scholarly work it is. So all the Goswamis, they were highly learned scholars, expert in philosophy, expert in the Vedic scriptures, expert in giving evidence for Krishna's supremacy from different Vedic literatures. So they were scholarly, and they were also absorbed in the devotional mood towards Radha and Krishna. And it is further mentioned that they lived a very, 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 very austere life. As Prabhupada mentioned here, they would not even stay under a tree for more than 2 days or 2 nights. So that much was their renunciation. And they used to consume hardly few drops of Charanamrit once in a couple of days. So practically their austerity was beyond scope of human imagination. So in every aspect, in terms of devotion, in terms of knowledge, in terms of renunciation, in terms of austerity, the Goswamis were in a very, 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 very advanced state. So for the normal person to comprehend or understand all this is very, very difficult. How is it possible for a person to lead such a kind of a life? How is it possible to renounce everything and not feel the pain of such austerity? Because you know how the climate is in India. Sometimes it is extreme cold, sometimes it is extreme hot in places like Vrindavan. All this was tolerated by the Goswamis. They were completely transcendental to heat and cold, honor and dishonor, social prestige. Somebody respects them, somebody doesn't respect them. All these things, they were completely unaffected by all this. So somebody may wonder, what is it that they possessed that they were able to lead such a kind of a life? So that is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. The principle Krishna explains in the Gita. Because in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna establishes that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. This is very clearly established by Krishna in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, Krishna in the 7th chapter, he establishes our identity beyond this material energy. 7th chapter, Krishna says, Bhumi rapo nalo vayuhu kham mano buddhi revacha ahankaram iti yamme bhinna praktirashtada. The material energy Krishna classifies as these 8 elements: Bhumihi, Apaha, Analaha, Vayu, Kham, Mana, Buddhi and Ahankara. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. So these 8 constitute the gross body and the subtle body. The first 5 constitute the gross body: earth, water, fire and air and ether. According to Vedic knowledge, this gross physical body, which we say, modern science, we understand it as flesh and blood, which is a physical reality. This gross body is comprised of these 5 elements. And Manas, Buddhi and Ahankara, these 3 subtle elements comprise the subtle body. So there is gross body, there is subtle body. Beyond this gross and subtle body lies the spirit soul or consciousness. So that Krishna explains in the next verse, Apareyam mitastu anyam prakritim vidhi me param. Apara, beyond this, Arjuna, beyond Bhumi, Apaha, Analaha, Vayu, Kham, Mana, Buddhi and Ahankara, beyond this material energy is the spirit soul. Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho. He is the Jiva, he is the living entity. So, very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita it is established that the living entity is beyond the gross and subtle body. So, the gross and subtle body, Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki, Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai. So, the gross and subtle body, they have their demands. They have their urges, they have their demands. The gross body has got certain demands. And the subtle body also has got certain demands. So, these demands are actually a perverted reflection of the original desire original demand of the spirit soul. The gross body's demands are nice, comfortable place, nice cushions, nice furnitures, nice air conditioning room, different kinds of physical opulences. These are demands of the gross body. And demands of the subtle body, the finer body, the subtle body is recognition, importance, respect, honor, loving relationships. These are all demands of the subtle body. So modern civilization, everybody is working very, very hard. Is taking lot of austerity. Day and night people are working hard with the sole objective of maximizing the necessity of the gross and subtle body. This is the sole objective with which people are working hard day and night. That is how the whole civilization is running. Everybody is geared up and he has got a certain value system that my life is successful if I can maximize the demands of the gross body and maximize the demands of the subtle body. Demands of the gross body are all physical things which gives pleasure to our senses, and demands of the subtle body are recognition, importance, respect, honor, loving relationships. These are all demands of the subtle body. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is established that we as living beings, we are beyond this gross and subtle body. Gross body refers to the 5 elements and subtle body refers to the 3 finer elements. So as spirit soul, our original desire, our original happiness is actually something else. And because in the present moment, we are not situated in our original happiness, the original necessity of the spirit soul, the eternal necessity of our consciousness is not being fed into us. Therefore, the desires of the spirit soul are pervertedly reflected through the gross and subtle body. So the desire of the spirit soul is relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Maximizing our devotional activity in order to give pleasure or happiness to Krishna is the original demand or original necessity of the spirit soul. Because that is absent in the lives of everybody within this material world, that original desire of the soul to maximize the endeavor to give happiness to Krishna, that original desire, spiritual desire, is reflected in a perverted way in the form of attempt to maximize the demands of the gross body and the subtle body. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, if we can understand that what is the nature of the original happiness of the spirit soul, then we can take a very important decision in life. What is that important decision? Stop pursuing the demands of the gross body and subtle body and rather pursue the demands of our spirit soul. This decision every person can take, provided he comes in touch with a bona fide spiritual master and reads his books, and in the association of the devotees, he can take such a decision and start pursuing a different kind of life. And for that, there is endeavor, there is hard work, there is effort, there is austerity, everything else is there, but for fulfilling the demands of the spirit soul. So, in the 6th chapter, the nature of the happiness of the spirit soul is explained by Krishna. 20th verse, Krishna says, Yatropamarate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmanitushyati sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigraham atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitas chalati tattvataha. So Krishna says, Sukham means here happiness, Atyantikam yattat, Buddhigraham, Atindriyam. Atindriyam means beyond gross and subtle body. Indriya refers to the senses. Gross body has got gross senses, and subtle body has got subtle senses. So Krishna is talking of a certain kind of a happiness which is atindriyam, which is beyond the demands, which is beyond this gross body and beyond this subtle body. Sukham matyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam. So this is the original happiness of the spirit soul, transcendental to the pleasure of the gross body, transcendental to the pleasure of the subtle body. Now, what happens when a person achieves this? That is also explained in the next verse. Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. Yam labdva, after achieving this, if one attains this, that which gives happiness to our spirit soul, yam labdva cha aparam labham manyate na adikam tataha. A person considers there is nothing higher than this. In other words, he considers all that gives pleasure to the gross body and subtle body as tuchha, as insignificant. So that is how the Goswamis were situated. Tyaktva turna mashesha mandalapati shrenim sada tuchhavat. Because they were situated in this consciousness, buddhigrahyam atindriyam yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. Because they were situated in the spiritual happiness of devotional service to Krishna, therefore they considered all worldly opulence, all worldly aristocracy, all comfort to the body as tuchha. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapatim shrenim sada tuchhavat. And then they simply accepted a few loin cloths for covering their body, and they simply went around in the streets of Vrindavan chanting the name of Krishna. He Radhe Vrajadevike, He Nandasuno Kutaha. So this was their mood, this was their consciousness. So the principle which Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, that our consciousness, we can experience unlimited spiritual happiness by engaging in devotional service to Krishna. That is the original happiness of the spirit soul. So the Goswamis were situated in that spiritual happiness, and because they were situated in that original happiness, therefore they considered all worldly aristocracy, all that gives pleasure to the gross body, all that gives pleasure to the subtle body as tuchha, as insignificant. In the translation, Prabhupada writes, in that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. So they possess something higher. See, these are all things in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives a hint. But what it is actually, we see in the life of the Goswamis and other great devotees in the Bhagavatam. Like in the second chapter also, Krishna says, Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. When the spirit soul tastes something higher, param, then he gives up attachment to all inferior things. So because the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were situated in such a consciousness, they were always experiencing spiritual happiness by remembering Krishna, by visiting the places of Krishna's different pastimes, by chanting the names of Krishna, by writing literatures glorifying Krishna. In this way, they were experiencing unlimited spiritual happiness. And therefore, they could consider everything in this material world as tuchha, whether it is government power, whether it is social prestige or kingly opulence, everything they could consider as tuchha. So this is the path which is shown by great personalities. And even in the Bhagavatam we see this very Bhagavatam which is spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was the king, he was the ruler. The entire world 5000 years ago was ruled by kings who sat in Hastinapur. And being the king, Raja of the whole world, Chakravarti, all the opulence in the world was at the disposal of Parikshit Maharaj. We cannot imagine the kind of opulence kings had in those days, 5000 years ago. So many animals, so many servants, so much of gold, so much of silver. So practically everything enjoyable in the world was available to a king like Parikshit. And the kind of honor and respect that kings would get in the past is unimaginable. But despite all this, the moment Parikshit Maharaj got to know that he has only 7 more days to live, so Bhagavatam says, Malavat, immediately Parikshit Maharaj renounced everything. So, if we study the Bhagavatam and study the lives of all great Rajarishis, great devotees mentioned in the Bhagavatam, and also the lives of Goswamis who appeared very recently, 500 years ago, it is very clear that they were all experiencing something divine, something transcendental. And because they were constantly experiencing something divine and transcendental, which is ever increasing, therefore, they were completely indifferent to the demands of the gross body and subtle body. They considered it as insignificant. So this knowledge is very, very confidential. Very confidential, this knowledge. That is why in the 9th chapter, Krishna calls this Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Idamuttamam. This is Rajavidya, this king of knowledge. Rajaguhyam, it is the most confidential thing. Pratyaksha, Avagamam Dharmyam, it is directly experienced. Susukam, Kartumavyamam, it is happily performed. So this knowledge, this consciousness constituting as to what gives real happiness to the spirit soul is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam. Even other Vedic literatures don't have this. The Vedic literatures are full of different instructions, but all the instructions in the Vedic literatures are also more or less to perform punya and acquire some enjoyment for the gross body and acquire some social position and prestige for the subtle body. This is how the Vedic literatures are. It is only these two literatures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam, which actually talk of the original necessity of the spirit soul. So, this is how we understand how great personalities in the past were able to be situated in such high levels of renunciation. Otherwise, it is very difficult for a person to conceive how somebody is able to renounce everything, how he is able to renounce all the enjoyable things in this world, how somebody is able to give up all governmental power, all position, all social prestige, how he is able to do. Such persons are able to do because they are experiencing something divine. So if we take inspiration from the lives of such great personalities, of course, Srila Prabhupada has established ISKCON society in a very practical way. He has not given us any of the extreme austerities which the Goswamis have undertaken according to time, place and circumstance and our capacity in the current age to take up a certain level of austerity. Srila Prabhupada has established this institution, but the spirit behind everything is this, that there is gross body, there is subtle body, there is our consciousness. The things which give happiness to the consciousness, they can be maximized. And by such endeavor to maximize that which gives happiness to the spirit soul, there will be perfect peace in the society. Otherwise, we are seeing the world is on a brink of the Third World War. Why? Because all nations are fighting with each other. Everybody has the same objective to maximize their gross and subtle sense gratification. So when there is clash of self-interest, my attempt to maximize my gross sense gratification or my subtle sense gratification clashes with another nation, nations go into war. Missiles are thrown, people are killed. All this is simply because in the modern civilization, people have no information that we are spirit soul, we are different from the gross body, we are different from the subtle body, and as spirit soul, we have got our food, which is devotional service to Krishna. Because this knowledge is absent, therefore, the world is on the brink of Third World War. Countries are fighting with each other because there is intense competition for gross and subtle sense gratification. And Srila Prabhupada says that devotees of the Lord want to establish a competition-less society. So when there is endeavor for devotional service, when everybody endeavors for devotional service to satisfy Krishna, to satisfy the demands of their spirit soul, then it results in a competition-less society. Envy, jealousy, all these things go away and everybody is able to live peacefully in this world. Otherwise, without this endeavor, if simply people try to endeavor to maximize the demands of their gross and subtle body, there has to be war, there has to be fighting, there has to be jealousy. It cannot be stopped. So therefore, Prabhupada's books, which captures the mood of the Goswamis, which captures the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which captures the activities of the Goswamis, they constitute this real knowledge, and we can very boldly and confidently say that Prabhupada's books gives the solution to Third World War. So with these few words, we will stop today's lecture. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.